What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Shared Screens Media Club on a very special May the 4th Star Wars Day, or as they say in Wookiee, joining me today.
The face you made while making that noise was fucking hilarious.
Listen, I can't.
And you are insane if you think I'm gonna let that pass.
I can't do it without making a face. Okay, I'm committing to the bit. Anyway, joining us as a Force Ghost because her camera's not working is Leanne Jass.
Hey.
And also in the Star Wars shirt, and I'm trying to figure out, is that the cash cab behind you today?
Yeah.
Is there a reference or reason for that?
Because at the end, because Jake Lockley's a cabbie.
Oh, okay. I don't know, I just assumed today Brett would be doing everything Star Wars related.
I love one of my favorite
Anyway, that's also Jim Tasty,
relationships.
aka Brett Jamerson.
Hello.
Anyway, continue.
One of my favorite relationships in Shared Screens is Brett's deep jokes, like his deep cut jokes, and Jordan not getting them for a second. It is my favorite thing. It happens like once a month, but every time it does, I am obsessed.
Yeah, it's a good bit. Anyway, if you haven't figured it out already, today we are discussing the Moon Knight series or season finale. Marvel wasn't too clear on that. Episode 6, Gods and Monsters. Guys, Moon Knight is over. It's been a great 6 weeks for Leanne, seeing Oscar Isaac every week.
6 weeks for me.
What did we think of the finale?
Hot.
Anything
Yeah,
else?
it was really good. I liked it. No, I really liked it. I thought it was really good. It was still weird, which I love. I was right. I was right about Layla becoming the Scarlet Scarab, and it was so much better than I ever could have imagined. Guys, when she whipped those wings out, like, I'm not gonna, it was great. Like, do you know how I walked out of Moon Knight, Jordan? With as big a crush on the actress who plays Layla as I have on Oscar Isaac. I am in love with both of them deeply.
That's big, knowing you. And
she's great. She's so hot. And when that little girl is like, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" and she whips around and is like, "Yes, I am," and like, "Fuck yeah!"
All she said was, she didn't even say the full sentence. She just went, "Yeah," and then told them to get the fuck out the car. It was great.
Okay, well, the subtitles said she said, "Yes, I am."
No, she just said, "I am." That even the subtitle just said, "I am."
Well, I was watching it from like 10 feet away because I didn't want to get out of my bed, so...
No, you're good. It was a cool outfit. It was like Falcon and Wonder Woman put together.
Mm-hmm. And it was sick. And did you see her arms? Like, fuck. She's so hot. She is so hot. It's not fair. And then the character is just fantastic. Like, everything she does, I'm obsessed with. Like, shit. I love her so much.
Here at Shared Screens, we don't sexualize women. Only Leanne does. Anyway, Brett, what did you think of the... I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You could call an actress hot. She's beautiful. She's hot. It's fine. I'm teasing. Brett, what did you think, though?
I really liked it. I thought the way they kind of wrapped everything up was done fairly well. Yeah, I think Layla being the Scarlet Scarab was dope. It's not even really a complaint. It's just I wish we got more with Harrow and his like motivations for doing all of this. Because initially when he was introduced in the show, I was like, okay, like he has this stance, and it's like a very like interesting like why he wants to or like what he's doing and kind of what he had said why he's doing it. But then we never really got like the origin for that, and clearly at the end like that we're not going to see more of him. So. I wish we got a little like especially like with him and Khonshu, like they dabbled in that a little bit, but we didn't really get more of that. I was kind of shocked the runtime of this episode. It was like 35 minutes or something like that.
I won't lie, I was kind of worried when I saw that because, you know, last week I said this thing I think I said about every Marvel show where I was like, I don't know how they're going to wrap this up in one episode. And I feel like they did a pretty good job, and I kind of was like, something felt as though it was missing until that post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can I float a theory really quick?
Float it.
Not about the show, but about like the production of the show. I have a theory, and I get where they are coming from, that they said it was a limited series, so that if people didn't like it and there wasn't a drive for another season, it wouldn't look like it was a flop.
Yeah.
I think they knew that this show might not do as well as everything else because it's like, again, another completely new thing, which tends to not do as well at first.
Yeah.
And I think they're saying season now because they've seen the positive response. And I think we're going to absolutely see more of Moon Knight and Layla as a little squad.
We are 100% going to see more of them. The question is when and where. I
need it to be soon.
I could see it getting another season, but I could also see them appearing in something else before said season. Could be completely wrong about that. But
Jordan, do you know what will happen to me if Mark, Layla, and Jessica Jones are all on the screen at one point?
That's a weird combination. I mean, the first two aren't, but...
I mean, yeah, they're married. But he wants the Midnight Suns, and he wants Daredevil to be in it for some fucking reason.
Because Oscar Isaac just wants to hang out with Charlie Cox. I know I've said it like 3 times on these podcasts, but I agree. I think,
and then that was the Jessica Jones connection in my brain. Is that they get Midnight Suns and have Daredevil? There's the instance for Jessica Jones to roll up. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tried to sue Mark.
Oh, true.
And be in like She-Hulk.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, Brett, I'm kind of with you on like Harrow stuff felt not necessarily rushed, but like as if there was something. Not that I was very shocked when Harrow was like, my scales aren't balanced. I'm willing to die, and I'm like, this is interesting. Can we touch on that more?
They're implying too much is the problem, because like I think what they're trying to imply is like being Khonshu's avatar and having to kill all these people, but these people that had already done wrong and like left victims behind like really fucked him up.
Yeah.
And that's why he like broke and wanted Ammit. But why his scales? And I guess like, yeah, because now he doesn't see Khonshu as like the end all be all and like the correct person. He could see that his scales aren't balanced because like he murdered a bunch of people for Khonshu and like
he let bad things happen. Yeah.
Yeah, he let bad things happen to people, and like that's all on him. But that's way too much implication for something like that. Like that needs to be something that is like verbally spoken.
Yeah.
Or like shown in a flashback. Like, I don't know.
We shouldn't be afraid of flashbacks.
Yo, can I say though, the part where Harrow looked at Mark and was like, if Ammit had been in power, your brother never would have died because she would have killed you. Because that was fucking harsh.
Yeah, that also makes me go, okay, what is this god's definition of evil? Because he didn't kill his brother. And
I didn't assume that was true. I assumed that was Harrow being a dick.
Or just whatever he does later on.
I mean, yeah, I guess it is just him being a dick, but it's...
Oh, yeah, it could also be that later on he was going to be a mercenary, so Ammit would have killed him before he could have killed his brother. I love when I overcomplicate things for no reason.
Yeah, that she would have just killed him young before he became a mercenary, rather than like 2 weeks before his first mercenary job.
Yeah.
That makes sense, I guess, too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe the kid would have went to that creek anyway. Kids are dumb.
Kids be dumb.
Kids be dumb. That's the lesson we all
got
out
Jordan
of
on that.
No. I did think they did a good job of, because with the show there's technically, 3 leads with Mark, Steven, and Layla, and or protagonists, excuse me. So they had a lot of work to do with building all of those characters out. Normally compared to like 1 or 2, like they've done in a lot of the past MCU shows, and so maybe they just had a pacing problem with writing and like breaking out like where all this was going to go, and Harrow, since he's because with Mark or with Oscar Isaac too, like they weren't going to they're not going to be like all in everything all the time like some of the other actors, and so they kind of knew what they're gonna get out with Harrow, especially more so than Oscar, or yeah, and then yeah. So it was just interesting that we didn't get to get more into Harrow's reasoning. But yeah. So I still liked it overall. I mean,
Oh no, I still think it was fantastic.
yeah, I mean, I'm a big Moon Knight fan now. Like I bought comics and
great.
stuff. So yeah, I'm in.
It's so fun. This is another one that like I'm really glad that like Marvel. I mean, Marvel's been doing this since the beginning, like taking characters from obscurity and making them huge. And like I like that the people they're starting to do that with, because like Mark's a really interesting character. By the way, Kansu is so fucking funny.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
The
And he's not even intending to be funny, which makes it even better.
him sitting in the limo like a mob boss and
Was so hilarious.
I also saw. I just retweeted it before we started recording. Somebody took that and went Khonshu on his way to the Met Gala.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
I really like that reveal of like, oh, somebody's taking Harrow out of this hospital. What's going on? And it turns out that Khonshu is still the avatar of this body, but he's the avatar for Jake. Mark and Steven don't know that they're still Khonshu's or that their body is still Khonshu's avatar.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And
what was
badass.
even funnier is this is an immortal god. This is the immortal Egyptian god of the night sky. And he reaches behind him and taps on the fucking divider that slowly rolls down and reveals Oscar Isaac with a gun.
Yeah,
that is the most dramatic shit I have ever seen.
And think about the fucking Rolls Royce they rolled up in with a license plate that says Spectre but without any vowels. Like, Khonshu could have just snapped his fingers and killed Harrow, but went, no, I want to do this like Goodfellas style.
We're gonna be dramatic little bitches about this.
So I have a question, because earlier on in the show, Khonshu couldn't interact with the physical world, and in the terms of like he couldn't actually like grab things, like he could make the wind move and stuff and all that. Like when Harrow is like, "Oh, is he here?" Like blah 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 with all the wind and stuff. But then he touches like the little button to move it down, and then you could argue this is just like them in their own whatever like little realm or whatever when he's fighting Ammit and they're like giant kaijus punching each other.
Dude, that was awesome. That was like some
like was that
Power Ranger shit.
Like, could everybody see that, or was that just like, you know, it's invisible to everybody else, like in episode 2?
I don't know, because like everybody that was like aware of what was going on, like Layla, Harrow, and Mark, they were looking at it and kind of like being like, oh, this is a thing that's happening. But of all the people that were running, none of them really acknowledged that.
Okay, but there were also random people running up to them, grabbing their wrists, and then causing these people to die. There is a lot going on for the people of Cairo. I understand that them not clocking that.
I know, it's just one of those things where it's like there's really no definitive answer. Now, I assume that part of it had to be real, because at one point she pushes Khonshu and his staff like hits a car.
And like destroys the car.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And like
if somebody was in that car, they're dead.
Yeah. And like they ruin part of the pyramid.
Oops.
Like Kansu full on like body slams her into the pyramid and like breaks part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Kansu again is a dramatic little bitch and reveals himself to humans when he wants to. And that he didn't want to with Harrow originally until... Because later on, at one point, Kansu reveals himself and Harrow can see him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he revealed himself after Layla completely freed him. He just showed up.
Stomped on that thing. He was like, hey.
Also,
so you're going to be my new avatar, right?
Yo, also
the Ushaptis, man, they're way too easy to break. That's all it took was just to throw it on the ground.
Yeah, that turned to dust.
I was like, I know, whenever they, came up with this security measure back in the day, like, things were a little bit simpler maybe, but I was like, what? Like, just anybody could sneak in there and
Yeah, like
break them all out, let them all go,
not
and
even
they're still
like if you're
they're
carrying
still
them to a different pyramid and you accidentally drop one, you just freed a god.
Oh yeah, no,
there's still like
not gonna-
20. We don't even know if those people are wrongly or rightly imprisoned. You know? Okay, that
Oh.
was okay. The fucking
On that
Osiris,
vein.
the fucking Osiris avatar. Because when it what was it episode 3 when they had the trial,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, why are they acting stupid? And some of us were like, are they in cahoots with Ammit? No, they're just idiots.
They're just
They're just
dumb
idiots.
as fuck.
They're
They
just,
they just didn't trust Khonshu at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can't even
They're
like
all
do a
petty
courtesy
bitches.
check in and just look into like, hey, this guy like because they would have known him as being Khonshu's avatar before. If they, I'm assuming they met once when he was the
I
avatar.
think Harrow, because
They
I think
do
because
know.
of Harrow's
Harrow
history.
says it.
Yeah, I think because of Harrow's history as well as Khonshu's history, they do not trust Khonshu, but they do trust Harrow, and they acknowledge that even though he was his avatar, they are separate. And for some reason, decided to put their faith in one.
There's no record bookkeeping because Khonshu says like he implied that he left Harrow because Harrow like committed some heinous crime or did something awful or whatever, and that's why he abandoned Harrow as his avatar. Like, and then Khonshu didn't go to the temple and was like, "Hey, so I don't have an avatar right now because this dude did this really nasty thing." Blah blah blah, and then because then he just walks in the show and he's like, "What's up? This guy's a wacko. Don't believe him. All right, see you guys."
Yeah. Also, when Khonshu was revealed himself and started fighting, the line "I'd rather be obliterated than ask for mercy," or "I'll take obliteration over mercy," that goes fucking hard.
Yeah. Khonshu, he's a dramatic. I love it because then when Mark is back and he comes running and like, hold on, actually wait, the way when Mark comes back to life in the pyramid and Khonshu in the middle of this fight goes, "Mark," is so fucking funny.
He just knew. Also, that was one of the coolest transitions when they were running towards the door, like in the underworld. And it just goes from like Steven running to that transition of Mark's face popping out of the water. It was so seamless. I had to rewatch it.
Yeah. It looked really good.
So Osiris opened the door for them?
Yes.
And that was
after Osiris's avatar got murked, Osiris was like, "Oh, maybe I should help Khonshu's avatar. Maybe he needs that, oops." And open the door.
He can't revive his avatar.
Was it 100% Osiris's help? Because
Tauret kept. Yeah. Okay, so Osiris. Okay, in Egyptian mythology, the gods and goddesses don't have control over the underworld the way like the Greek gods do, where there are parts of it that are like monsters that could kill them. So, like, that sand, the duat, they don't have, like, full control over that. So that's when Tauret is like, I'm gonna fucking turn this boat around.
Yeah.
Does anybody, or is it just, like, this force that just exists?
There's the duat, I don't think anyone controls. Okay, so in Egyptian mythology, the way the sun works for them is that Ra, who's the sun god, has to travel through the living world, and then night is when he's traveling through the underworld. And there are like a bunch of trials, and that's where like Dua is, and the fucking snake that he has to fight, and then he has to fight like a big dog or something. And I don't know, there are people that control parts of that, but I don't remember if anyone controls the duat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been Egyptian mythology.
Because he Layla frees him. He goes, "Mark Spector is not on this plane.
I do not sense Mark Spector."
Yeah. And then Mark wakes up, and within seconds, he goes, "Mark?
Mark? Mm-hmm. My boy." And then when they get out, Mark is like, "Dope, we're out here. I'm in the fucking suit. Like, we're good. How the fuck are we getting to Cairo?" And Khonshu's like, "You forget, I am the god of the night sky!" And, like, starts making the wind move. And it's like, why are you so dramatic?
I also thought that he was going to just be like, "Oh, I'll teleport you." No, he still made him fly. Like, there was still, like, a good chunk of, like, the time was still wasted.
That flying scene though was dope.
It
Him
was.
ascending, that was really cool.
And that happening the same time that Layla became the Scarlet Scarab was
It was so
was
dope.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can we talk about? I've gone long enough. Can we talk about the scene where he sees that she's the Scarlet Scarab? Because like it's such a good scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the look on his face is like, yes. It's so cool, and them fighting together is so fucking cool.
When he
Like-
was on the ground and looked up after she saved him, he went. He had pause and he went, Layla? And part of me, like after he paused, was like, is he gonna say mommy?
God.
Steven would have. Steven was gonna
Yeah,
say mommy.
Steven.
Yeah, because it
100%
quickly went
would have
from-
said- yeah.
It quickly went from, because then I was talking to Jordan about this on the phone. When Mark goes running over to her in a very deep voice, he grabs her by the face like he's gonna kiss her, and says in a very deep voice, "Oh baby," and then it turns to Mark, and he's immediately like, "You
He
look
turns to
amazing," or turns to Steven and goes, "You look amazing," and it's like, I hate that.
Yeah.
You two have two different thoughts. That is not where Mark's brain was.
Nope. I mean, both of them kind of went the route of like, oh, damn, she looking fine, but they just express it so differently.
Because she did. Guys, like,
I
come on.
never denied it. I didn't say she didn't.
She looks so good. Also, lesson in how to make female superheroes look hot without it being revealing.
Overtly sexualized.
Yeah. She looked awesome.
It's just
Put
a badass
armbands
costume.
on chicks, like, on when you're making women's superhero costumes, if they don't have sleeves, put armbands on them. It makes everybody look like they have massive biceps and like they could just like fuck you up.
Which is something superheroes need.
Yeah.
When he blacked out and it's like implied that like he turned into Jake and Layla was just like, what was that? I don't know. These are the types of villains where I'm like, you should maybe be the one, you should maybe kill them. And I don't know, Moon Knight's never seemed to me as like the I don't kill type of vibe. He should have just murked Harrow. I'm talking as Mark.
That's one of those things where like if I was in that situation, it's like the Batman Joker thing. If I'm like,
But the thing
if
with
I'm in this
Batman
situation,
Joker is like Batman himself has such a reason why he chooses not to do that.
yeah, I'm saying regardless of that. But like if I'm looking at Harrow and he has the like it's not even that he's the avatar, like he has the spirit of Ammit in him, right? At that point. Like I would be like
basically Khonshu locked Ammit inside of Harrow and was like, you could kill them both.
yeah, I would be like, oh, yeah, like I'll, you got to make hard choices
Two
sometimes
birds,
in
one
life.
stone. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. It's
So,
like,
okay, I'm going to chime in here. There is a difference between your wife knowing you used to be a mercenary and your wife watching you violently end a man's life right in front of her.
okay, so
You
tell
don't
her
have
to
to. You
turn
don't have to
around.
violently do it. Yeah, you don't have to violently.
She was going to stab him in the eye!
Me and Brett had two very different ways to get over that issue.
Brett's
you don't-
is
you
the
don't have to-
solution, though, and neither is yours.
You don't have to. I mean, I would, just kill him in a, humane way.
They were inside a pyramid, right?
Yeah.
Just walk outside the pyramid and go behind it. Just it's like Old Yeller, but instead of behind the barn, it's behind the pyramid.
Still.
I don't know.
Layla is
Moon
very
Knight's
clear
just
not
never
down with
seen
him
as the
killing, 'cause she's the one who goes, "What are you doing?"
I don't know. It's just he seems like a weird person to give a don't kill rule.
I don't think it's a rule. I think Layla was standing there and he went, "I would like my marriage to continue."
Also,
But she pulled that line that she's like, "You're no worse than him if you do it," and it's like, no.
Yeah. Because she believes that and he would like his marriage to continue.
I mean,
How did they-
at
how
this
did-
point, they're gonna need to probably go through couples therapy regardless,
Lots
especially
of couples therapy.
especially now that Steven's in the mix.
yeah,
And like, does that
and
count
they,
as
like,
polyamory? And like, what's going on there?
how did they know the spell to trap Ammit?
I was assuming Towerette was like telling Layla somehow.
Yeah, I assume that like the gods knew.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was thinking that either the Osiris man
Mhm.
like told her before he died and we just didn't see it, or that Towerette was like telling her.
Yeah.
Because Mark very quickly starts saying it too, so I was just assuming that like their gods were being like, "This is what you have to say." Like, just
Right.
do
Yeah,
this
that
thing.
totally makes sense. I did like how Jake killed or severely maimed,
No, he
injured.
killed, bro. He killed.
I mean, he emptied the barrel. Like,
No, I'm saying when they're in Cairo
oh
and
yes,
they're fighting in that little town square area. Like he was about to lose, like he was getting the whatever ripped out of him and he just like flashed. Like I thought it was cool because that felt more satisfying to me than him just like beating him normally by punching him enough or whatever. I thought that was a good little twist
Yeah.
with what we got with who Moon Knight is. That was I like that a lot actually.
I love that scene for all of that, and because now that we've seen Jake, I like to imagine in my mind that what is happening in that moment is all these he's getting his shit knocked out of him. Kansu and Layla are over there, and all of a sudden he pops up and is yelling in Spanish and starts just beating the shit out of everybody.
That's
and
the
I
thing.
like I like to imagine that just Layla and Kansu are standing there like, what the fuck was that?
That's the thing is like none of that could have happened that way because Layla assumes it was Mark, which
She says, "Who was that?" She knows it's not Mark.
Oh, I thought she said.
Yeah, she goes.
She didn't say what was that.
No, according to the subtitles, she said, "Who was that?"
Okay.
Yeah, she knew that was not Mark.
Yeah.
Because Mark was getting your shit rocked 2 seconds ago.
Because I was also gonna say, like, I wonder what Jake's version of the costume is.
Me too.
So, some people were hinting or like just pointing out that in the credits when you see the different costumes, there's one that looks a little more mummy-ish.
Yeah, it doesn't have the hood.
Yeah, it doesn't have the hood and like what's it called that wraps around him?
I don't know, gauze.
Gauze, yeah, the linen. I don't know, whatever.
I don't know what it was actually called.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it was like incomplete and like missing parts, but it still was like forming like a mask, a helmet kind of thing. So people were like, maybe that's what it looks like. But yeah, I'm very fascinated to see what that looks like.
I saw some people
forward.
thinking it was the Mr. Knight, but without the glowing eyes. And I was like, I just think that was a promotional image that they put out that was weirdly sexual.
I think, yeah, now that I know that we don't see that in the show, I think they put that out because they went, you know what's going to make people watch this? Oscar Isaac making sex eyes at them.
Just eyes, though. Truly, we're going to cover his face and we're going to have him do a weird...
And the glove thing, it makes it so sexual.
Yeah, no, the gloves really make it sexual.
Isn't that like kind of like inspiration from like a comic cover or panel or something?
But it's also like...
Things don't always translate well, though.
It's so... Yeah, it's not as sexual. It's menacing on the comic book cover. It's weirdly sexual on Instagram. Like, it's really weird.
Yeah. When it's a real person, it just gets so sexual.
When you can see life in the eyes, like, it's different.
Maybe it's Oscar Isaac to blame. Maybe Oscar Isaac maybe they wanted menacing eyes and he gave them sex eyes.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't... If you've watched Ex Machina, you know that he doesn't really have a different face between menacing and trying to be sexy.
I mean, some people like their sex menacing.
I'm not gonna go there.
We don't have to.
But yeah, I also really, really enjoyed the scene where Kansu just had her Ammit pit. Also, Ammit looked really good.
Oh yeah.
Like she had really good texture. She didn't look like uncanny, like my brain is going, this is not right, this should not look like this. Like
especially because of the weird amalgamation of things that she is. On top of that,
she's like a snake, crocodile, cat, lion lady.
Roar meow woof.
Wait, where's the woof coming from?
I don't know. Just felt
snakes right. Don't woof. Imagine snakes barked.
I couldn't make a rattle sound. I don't have anything
Imagine a nautical
There's barking
world.
spiders, right?
Yes.
Oh, wait. Technically, in SpongeBob, the snakes do wolf because the snails are cats and the snakes are dogs.
I think those are supposed to be worms, not snakes.
What is a worm but a tiny snake?
God. I think you just insulted snakes.
Am I gonna get canceled in the snake community?
Yes.
Oh, no.
No, I love this. I really truly think the fight between Ammit and Kansu was so fucking cool. Like, I'm still not over it. And I'm not usually, like, into that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not usually impressed by that kind of stuff. It looked dope.
Listen, sometimes, even though sometimes you do want substance in your stories, even if they're coming from comic books. There can be meaning, there can be symbolism, but other times, fists go burr is also what you need. And I feel like we had a good balance in this episode. That's just the thing that people say is go
bird
burr.
punch crocodile.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta see a weird,
It's my caveman brain. I revert back to like my lizard brain, and I'm like, yes.
Listen, at the end of the day, two giant things fighting isn't always good. It is, however, always cool. That's my hot take.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Because to me, and the whole point of the show, and they Kanji emphasized it, Ammit emphasized it, was like they need the avatars to almost like as an exponential like growth of their power, right? And so while that fight was going on, that was cool, but I was like, okay, the real fight is down here. And so
yeah,
even
Dunking.
and I'm because I liked it. It was cool. But I'm like, even though for the people who are like, oh, I hate when giant things just punch each other. Like that wasn't the focus of that part.
Yeah.
Like so I still didn't bother.
yeah. But and also the dialogue between Kanju and Ammit was cool because when he had her pinned, she was like, "We are so similar. Why do we do this? Like, is this just going to be all of eternity?" Which, because they're gods, I guess that's what it's supposed to be. He's like, "Because you don't give."
Well,
people
they
a
also
choice."
used to fuck.
Well, you know what? Not all breakups can go cleanly. Or maybe it was a hate fuck. Maybe they did always hate each other. You know what I mean? Also, the amount of souls that were just being ripped into the sky, it was like the opposite of It's Raining Men, and it was terrifying.
Do they need everybody to go up and do the scale testing? Because I thought the whole point of Ammit was to just like instantly like
she would
Thanos,
she would do the scale test on the world.
Thanos snap
idea-
and be like, all right, these people are quote unquote good, these people are not, and because before Ammit was released, that's what Harrow was doing, was going up to each person and judging their scale. And
I
then
think with Ammit, they have the ability to put that power on multiple people at once, is what it is. So
I think yes, that's where I was going to go. Is I think what it is, the theory is that you'll go up to a person and see their scales. If their scales are bad, you send them to hell. If they're scared or whatever. If their scales are good, I think the theory is they'll join you. So as you're infinitely getting more followers as you are
exponential
grabbing
growth.
people. In theory, I don't think that would actually work that way.
because, and this is completely just jumping around, but at the beginning of the episode when Layla kind of disguised herself amongst Harrow's like crew,
Really didn't.
I was never sure on like how big this following was, because there were certain points throughout the show I'm like, is there like a Hail Hydra thing where like just there's somebody everywhere in every like position ready to like jump in on this train? But then like at the end there's like 15 of them driving in those like little cars. So
I think
was
it's like the
oh,
cult
it's
had
like,
a decent amount of people. Who he brought to Egypt might have been like an inner circle type of thing, but then
Okay.
in
Yeah, that it's
Egypt,
like the trusted.
yeah, but then also it seemed that in Egypt he had more followers just because there statistically would be people there who do still believe in that mythology.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you're
also,
right. He did have the staff kind of do like a radius version. with all
Also,
those
yeah,
soldiers.
Layla had her covering up at a lot of points, but then other points she didn't. And like during the like 3-hour ride to Cairo,
I thought she was
in the 3-hour ride to Cairo, like the dude sitting across from her was like, I don't recognize you. Also, you look like the wife of Mark Spector, who everyone should know who looks like in that group.
I assume in the car she kept it on.
Okay.
You know the man that we all just watched get murdered. You really look like his wife.
I mean,
Like,
do you think she could have convinced them and been like, listen, you balance the scales. Clearly, this is all real. I'm going to join you before things get worse. Like, do you think they would have
no,
bought
because
that?
she openly threatened him multiple times. I think they might have bought it, but Harrow would not have bought it.
Yeah.
Also, when he went up to that like checkpoint or whatever, and he like, with his upgraded staff, like kind of did like a little AOE check where he
Yeah.
just checked everybody at the same time. That dude that survived, like, was he under their control or
I
whatever?
think
Because like,
Kansu went, I'm gonna take this dead body and possess it for a second.
no, I'm the guard that was like at the check, not the dead people that Tara and Mark and people were taking over. Like the guard that was standing.
The one guy who didn't.
Because like he got taken over, or like he got checked, and then like his eyes were like freaking out, and he was like,
I just think
I
you
don't know,
just
it just
saw a lot happen and needed to process this. Also, when you called it area of effect, it is like I just kind of realized Amit's whole thing is just like, do you pass the vibe check? The pass or fail
Yeah.
vibe check.
But like the people who usually would pass the vibe check, I don't think would pass her vibe check.
No. Well, I mean, she just has her own vibe check. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, but it's not a good one.
No.
Because like that's another whole thing with it is that like she's harsher than Kansu.
Yeah, and he tells her that. He's like, he's like, I give him a choice. Oh, then
It's like you're mean.
But then
Like,
but then what was funny is at the end where he's like telling Mark to kill Harrow, Layla goes, "You have a choice," and like I feel like Khonshu was kind of thinking to himself, "Fuck that I did just say like 10 minutes ago I give people choice."
but I didn't mean it.
he did
Just like
technically
when
let
People,
them off the hook.
he's like, people have choice. Mark doesn't.
Mark doesn't have choice. I can control Mark. Mark is standing here because
Yeah,
oh god.
everyone has choice except for Mark.
Except for Mark Spector.
I also liked when Steven was trying to negotiate with him about like, okay, if we take you back, what's the deal here?
I love that, dude. Yeah.
And Khonshu was kind of just like, really, we're gonna do this now, and he's like, yeah.
Well, before he was like, I'm the god of the night sky. He also was like, idiots. And like I just like him muttering to himself about him under his breath. I love him being for some reason because fuck Kansu, but there's for also some reason I think it's so funny that he's like this fucking moron
'Cause it
is
is
all I have.
It is funny that like just some guy TM can truly aggravate a literal god, like an worldly
a
being.
deity.
Yes, and it's just getting annoyed at some guy and
He's
his
like,
friend.
all I have is this man.
Yeah.
This is what I have to work with.
I mean, honestly, like that's really the thing. This episode was like some anime ass shit with like they were true. Like there's jokes that JRPGs start out with like, oh, go on this one mission, and by the end of the game, it's like you're killing God. That was literally the plot of this episode.
Yeah. Steven missed a date, and that ended in him trying to kill a god. Like,
Is Moon Knight just a JRPG?
I don't know what JRPG means.
Japanese role playing game.
Like Final Fantasy.
Gotcha. Okay.
Basically anime but video games.
Fun.
People are gonna hate me for that comment, but guess what? That means we're gonna get comments.
I don't know anything about video games, so
It's okay.
I don't know.
What else was like really fun in this episode? Because there's just I felt like so much happened.
Mhm.
Even
I
though it was
know,
so
and I
little
loved
time.
every fucking second of it. Like, I'm not even joking. It was so like I love this, and I was always going to. Oh, waking up in the bedroom at the end.
Yeah.
Great choice.
I was a little confused as to I liked it. I was a little confused as to why Steven still handcuffed himself. I thought we figured out what was happening. You didn't have a mental like a sleep disorder. You were turning into another person. Like
And you
you
and
were
him
going
have
to a
worked things
big
out.
sleep for a while. Like so like I don't think you need to be worried about wandering out of your home.
Yeah, I think Steven did it out of like a force of habit, but it sounded like it was Mark who woke up because he went, Steven, you live like this, and walked and fell.
Yeah, which I enjoyed. That's very funny.
He also now has 2 fish.
Like the 2 pieces of him swimming together in the tank of his
For
psyche.
each altar, he adds a goldfish.
Oh my god, imagine. Oh my god, imagine he just had like 3 little fish bowls,
No,
and they each had a goldfish in it, and each goldfish like bowl had a name on it.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is like because each altar can't agree on a name, they just each get their own goldfish.
Yeah.
Like they all agree to feed the other fishes, but each of them get their goldfish.
They each
And,
have
and
a
the Jake goldfish has a little cabbie hat.
Let's be honest. Jake's gonna get a beta fish, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's gonna get like
Um,
a piranha or something, man.
Jesus.
Something
Jake's
nasty.
dope, dude. I love him so much.
I-
He's so cool.
I like his little
really,
cabbie hat.
I really love the like infusion of like Oscar Isaac's Hispanic heritage into the Jake Lockley character. I thought that was brilliant.
Oh, I also think it's so clever on like a whole other level too, because Oscar Isaac for a very long time was like kind of typecast as like Middle Eastern, which he is not at
Yeah.
all.
Mhm.
And I liked that they're like giving, and like I don't think that they should have taken away like being Jewish and like the Jewish heritage and the
Right.
connections with the Holocaust and all of that are so big to him that I understand them not being like, we're going to make Mark Spector just as a whole completely Hispanic, because you want to keep that. But I really like them letting him just like yell in Spanish, because honestly it's hot, but also it's really scary.
Yeah.
That was frightening.
Also, each altar now is like a different like culture.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, which is really really cool. So you know, that's
It's
cool.
like
That's
those
something
little,
Mark should examine with his therapist. But
I was gonna say it's like those little drawings in elementary school where they'll show like people of all races like holding hands around the globe, but it's just all Oscar Isaac's
Mark.
face. That's his. Yeah, it's all of Mark's different altars.
it's also like you know when people have like brain surgery and they wake up and they're like speaking a different language while their brain is like figuring out what the fuck just
Yeah,
happened.
I've heard about that, and it scares the shit out of me because sometimes they'll be like, "This person didn't even know that language before."
Didn't know that or that they didn't know they didn't know they knew that language because it's a language that they like heard when they were a kid because they like went to school in a different country,
Yeah,
but like don't have any real memories.
That legitimately terrifies me.
I think it's so cool, but
It's
I like
so
to
cool.
imagine.
It's also scary as fuck.
I wonder. I would like to know if Mark knows that he knows Spanish that fluently.
Well, not a 1-to-1. But
He's like, why don't
he didn't know how to read hieroglyphs even though Steven had studied
But
it.
Steven did.
he
Oh,
my
Brett's
gosh.
killed himself.
Yeah, you guys know about what me and Josh joke about with Moon Knight, right? Like,
No, what's the joke?
I won't say it on the podcast. It's a little too silly, but like, just imagine like Mark waking up and he's like, "Man, why do I keep having like Taco Bell wrappers and boxes like in my trash can?" Like,
Oh, like one of them is just like going out having nightlife, and the other one just isn't aware of it.
Oh yeah, no, we do know this. Josh told us this.
yeah.
No, I also I mean, let him have it. And I mean, that's kind of like John Lockley's thing too.
Mhm.
I'm so excited. And like that little cabbie hat and the scarf is comic accurate. That's exactly what he wears. Here's a leather jacket with a matching hat. The hat's not leather, but like with a matching hat, color-wise hat. And a white scarf. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it
Mean
so
mugging.
much.
I could see the next season being about kind of the way we got Mark and Steven to work together and, you know, be able to use this idea of an altar as a benefit rather than a hindrance. Is like, well, now we have to do the same thing but with Jake. But I wouldn't want like a hypothetical third season. I don't want them just to add an altar each season and every plot.
No.
Like, we have to conquer this altar and we'll all work together. Like, after Jake, it's
done. Those are his altars. We're good. We're fine.
Mhm.
No, I would like that too, because I want to see what, in the way we saw what triggered Steven, I want to see what triggered Jake and like
so
where that name
I
came from
think
for him and all that
what
kind of stuff.
triggered. So I think it's like Steven was made to protect him and Jake was made to protect his loved ones. Because we noticed the thing that turned him into
or
Jake
like
was seeing like Layla about to get hurt.
Layla was not on that mountain when he fucking went out.
I would
That's
look at
also
it as
fair.
like Steven is like him trying to preserve the purity of like his life
His
and
childhood.
who he is, and then and Jake is just the inverse of that. That's like the full like we
Jake's away from him
rebel.
to feel maybe like a distance from the bad things that he does.
Somebody
Or
argued on Twitter, and I think it might be what Brett's trying to say, that Jake is where he can like funnel all of that anger that
right,
he has at his mother. He can just be angry and beat the shit out of his mother and beat the
Sorry,
like
this
she used
isn't
to do to
funny,
him and
but
beat the
because you're
shit out of
saying
his dad for not protecting him.
because you're saying the anger at his mother, all I can think of is Polka Dot Man from the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
because and I don't I'm not a psychiatrist or whatever the term is,
You
but
heard it here,
like
folks. You heard it here first, folks. Brett, not a psychiatrist.
In case
but
you were curious.
there is isn't there something where it's like when people like sometimes people like feeling bad or angry or whatever
Yeah.
and they don't actually work to like fix it or find peace or right there's something called that. I don't know if there's actually a term, but maybe that's kind of personified in the Jake Lockley altar of like the Steven is a pure part and then the Jake Lockley part is just completely the opposite, and Mark is like the balance, or like
Jordan,
Yeah.
it's
the
like
middle
that
of the
the
road.
Panda Red video where he's like Jake is committed to the cause and Jake is not fucking around.
Yeah.
Like he's off cutting off faces. Like
Basically, I think
Jake's just an angry guy.
they're both there to protect him, but one is there to protect him mentally and the other's there to protect him physically. I think
I
it's
don't
that.
think it's even about. I just think Jake comes out when he gets like not like the Hulk, like when he gets really mad, but like in high pressure situations where like he needs to not be pulling punches. Jake is like, all right, it's
Yeah,
me
that's
time.
kind of what I mean. Is like when he was on that rooftop in that mountain, it was either kill or be killed, and so he has Jake come out.
Well, I mean, Jake comes out. Mark doesn't really have that much control over it.
Yeah, he doesn't let him out. I mean, wow, there really is kind of Hulk analogy here, but like it's also not.
Doesn't know he's there. Yes, because for some reason they make the gamma radiation and the Hulk a sentient entity in Bruce Banner's brain. I'm not saying that's a bad choice. I just don't love it. I accept that it's just what the writers almost like 100 years ago chose, but like whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's weird that he got shot with gamma radiation and then had a second sentient mind in his own brain.
Yeah, it would have made sense if the Hulk was just all of Bruce's anger without
Yeah,
a filter.
and that it's not another person. It's just he loses control, and like the Hulk does not have his own. The Hulk cannot fall in love. The Hulk does not have his own thoughts. He cannot argue with Bruce.
Okay,
like
well, I mean, are you going to be the one to look at the Hulk and tell him that? Because I'm sure as fucking not. I'm not going to look at the big green man and be like, you're not allowed to have feelings.
no, I don't think it's not the sentient Hulk's fault. It is the writers who created him that I am blaming.
Yeah. I also feel like
I'm
some
not saying the character
interpretations
needs.
have made it like the longer he's had the Hulk has gotten time to become sentient.
And that's weird. I don't understand how. Like, why? Because here's the thing. That doesn't happen in Jekyll and Hyde, which is what he's an extreme version of. It's just they're different people.
You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
It just really bothers me. But yes, there are a lot of book analogies.
I do think it's interesting that, and we will probably get the answer in either season 2 or whatever, the next big movie, of like how Jake is like really like deep under like the layers of Mark's mind that they're not even really aware of who
You don't
he
know
is.
what he could be.
But clearly Jake is, though, of Mark and Steven.
Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna. I wonder if there's a way that he can do. Like now that Layla is Towret's avatar, I wonder if there is a way to let the 3 alters, like once he realizes Jake's there, do what we got last episode without him having to die first. Like if she can kind of let them into that kind of plane of like looking into one's mind and memories, but for all three of them.
Be sick. Have them do some drugs and go into the underworld, please.
Like,
I am sure there is some.
Like, the only way is like you have to borderline die.
Can you take drugs while
Kanju
you're
has
dead?
to leave you. We have to kill you, and Kanju will enter you again after you guys have worked this shit out.
Ugh.
He's like, I don't wanna.
No, I'm sure there's some sort of. I mean, a lot of cultures had different like rituals that used hallucinogens because humans, since the beginning of time, have been looking for ways to get fucked up.
Since we've
been smoking weed since the Stone Age. Like,
you mean like the Stoned Age? Ayo, dab.
Keith Habertsberger makes that joke a lot. Anyways. Like, I'm sure they could find something, like, that is culturally relevant.
Yeah.
And, like, make it that they, like, do some meditation and do, like deep prayer, like, that kind of stuff where, like, you go to a different plane and it's trippy. I want it. Give it to me. I want it. I love how trippy it is. And, like, I want that to continue.
Yeah, no, I really liked the way they showed all that stuff in the underworld.
Yeah. So good.
Any other final thoughts, guys?
Well, my question is, where do you think we'll see Moon Knight next?
That's the thing.
Scarlet Scarab next.
I honestly don't know. Like, Leanne said, like, oh, they could show up in She-Hulk, and like, I could see that. It is not.
I was mostly kidding when I said that.
Yeah, it's like
joking.
Sure, like I guess you could force that, but like I truly don't know where I would expect to see him next.
I wouldn't be surprised if, not that we necessarily saw him, but some references were made in the new Thor movie because they're introducing the Greek gods.
True.
And I could see him rolling up in, oh my god, Werewolf in London this Halloween.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm willing to put money down that he's in Blade.
Ooh.
Yeah, but Blade,
I'm willing to bet
that
he is. Yeah, but I'm willing to bet the plan is it's him, and even if it's not till the end or a post-credit scene that we get Dane, Blade, and Mark together.
And their own little sitcom as roommates.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a crush on Mahershala Ali just because he's so talented. He's much older than me. I feel weird saying that if I find him attractive.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I also have a huge crush on Kit Harington and Oscar Isaac, so I'd be okay with a sitcom like that. That'd be fine. Be good with it.
You're eating well this phase.
I am, like, truly. I love Richard Madden. I've had a crush on him since Game of Thrones. Like, they just keep casting actors that, like, I'm in love with. It's great.
Well, whenever
I need Bill Hader in the MCU. I don't care how he gets there. Just put him there.
Oh, God. Well, whenever Moon Knight does come back, we'll be here to review it, talk about it. You guys can find us at Shared Screens. Don't remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.